Hi, I think I'm live. I hope I am. And if you are here or just coming in, I'd love to hear from you to see if you can hear me and see me and if everything seems like it's okay. These YouTube video live streams usually are pretty simple and usually I don't have any problems, but I just want to make sure that people coming in can see me and hear me before we get started. So if you are joining the live video, I would love to hear where you are from and maybe something about yourself. I'll tell you about myself. I am a certified Trim Healthy Mama lifestyle coach. I've been a coach for nearly 1 year. I was part of the pilot program of coaches that they put together. So I've been a coach since the beginning. And I've been blogging about Trim Healthy Mama for 5 years, I think. My website, thewellplannedkitchen.com, used to be called workingathomeschool.com, and it was listed in the Trim Healthy Mama books as a meal planning resource. So as we're having people come in, I'm just going to share a little bit about what we're talking about today. Before we really jump in, there will be a replay of the video, and some of you may be watching the replay and some of you may be watching live. But the purpose of today is to just talk about cheating and going off plan and how to get out of that mindset of cheating. And I am drinking one of my favorite drinks right now. It's these guys. Has anybody tried any of these? They're really, really delicious. I try not to have them too much because they're really, really good. But I am a little hoarse today because I had a migraine this morning. So my apologies. I might be chugging my tea while we're talking. Hi, Allison. Okay, Allison, I'm so glad to see you here. I hope you can hear me okay. And Allison's from Oklahoma. Welcome, Allison. I've been to Oklahoma many times. I really like it out there. I'm in Colorado, near Denver. And I know it's kind of fun to connect with people all across the country on Trim Healthy Mama. It's such a huge thing. Digitally. I started coaching some people one-on-one, but now it's just a lot easier. I'm a single mom. I homeschool my 5 kids, and my youngest is 4. So getting out of the house to coach one-on-one is kind of a struggle sometimes. So coaching digitally is great. So a lot of my clients are scattered all across the country. So as we are waiting for people to come in, it isn't quite time to start yet. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anybody. I'm glad Alan, the group size that I was expecting because of those people hopping on to let me know about the comments. And then we have a good number of people watching later too who weren't able to participate live. They're busy right now. We have a few people in other countries that'll be watching later. So it will just be us to get started. So hear me okay? I'm assuming Allison could because she told me where she was from, like I asked. I have a lot to get through with you today. So when we get started, I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to explain kind of the mindset behind cheating and how we can get away from it. And then I will be sending you my notes sometime in the next 24 hours so that you can follow along and maybe go back and add your own notes, just some tips that you can print if you'd like to and keep them with you. So you'll get those 24 hours or less after we're done here today. So it is just about 5:30. I don't want to take up too much of your time and I have a lot to go through. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And again, we will have the replay available for anybody that has to cut out early or maybe some people that can't make it here on time. So let's talk about cheating. I have been on Trim Healthy Mama for years, since the original book came out in December of 2012. And I think actually is something that I am sure, have all done. I have not met, I've coached almost 200 women. I've not met anybody who never ever cheats. You will get the rare purist or, I have one friend that just has incredible willpower and has never really eaten sugar, even as a child. That's incredible. That's not me. I have found that most of us fall into different categories in different seasons of our life. So for example, a lot of us sometimes will think, hey, I've got this. I'm on plan now. No problem. I'm doing it. I've got it. And then you go from that, like, it's all good to, okay, well, no, today's the day. Today's the day I really want to start. Or, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow, or I'm going to start Monday, or I have this party to go to, or I have this anniversary dinner, or I have this birthday, and I'm going to start right after that. Or we really feel like we've got it. We're back in that first category of, okay, this is no problem. I'm on plan. I've got it. I'm doing it. And then we end up just saying, oh, but I never have a chance to have this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a bite. I'm on plan the rest of the way. And it turns out we don't just take a bite, or we don't just stop it there. What we have to realize is that we are the only people who put food in our mouths. It is just us. I control everything I eat, and so do you. We have total control over what we eat. So it's important to look at cheating first as a choice. Cheating is something we choose to do. We choose to eat off plan. It's not something that just happens to us, generally speaking. I do have a story that I'll share a little bit later about how cheating can kind of happen to you on accident. Sometimes we can accidentally eat off-plan foods, but for the most part, we decide what we eat, and we are choosing to put the food in our mouth, and it's only up to you. So one thing that helps get in the right mindset from the get-go is knowing your why. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it for better health? Are you doing it for better self-discipline? Are you doing it to lose weight? Are you doing it to set a good example for your kids? Now, there's so many reasons. And just like we are so different, the reasons that we are trying to follow Trim Healthy Mama will be different as well. And a lot of the tips I'm going to share with you today, some of them will work, some of them will not. I can't guarantee that they're going to work, but I can tell you that my clients have far and wide found success following these tips, but they know that not every single strategy is for every single person. They also know, because I'm very upfront with my clients, part of this process is that you have to be willing to do the work. I've had people pay hundreds of dollars to have me coach them for several months. And some of those people do really well. They reach their goals. They shed some weight. They make great progress. They stick to the plan 100% and they feel amazing. And I love that. But sometimes, every once in a blue moon, I will get a client who hires me for 90 days, pays a decent amount of money for me to spend a lot of time with her and daily encouragement. And then she just never quite gets it together. I'll share the tips with her. I'll tell her, hey, you really wanted this. Remember, you want to be at this place by this time, or your doctor says you need to be here. And it will always come down to something like, well, today in the break room, they had this, and I don't usually do that, but just this once. Or, I was at the gas station, I was hungry, I didn't have anything. And when you get to that place where you always have a reason, or you always have a justification to go off plan, you're just making it harder for yourself. So one thing that, as one of the maybe a little more stringent or tougher Trim Healthy Mama coaches, I just want to remind you that it is your decision what you eat, and we can all justify anything. I am the woman who was Googling on my phone how many carbs are in one Chick-fil-A French fry, trying to figure out how I could have one French fry with my salad because I just wanted one French fry. Until my kids started laughing at me and I realized how ridiculous that was, to be so desperate for a French fry that I would be trying to fit it into my meal. There's a reason why they don't recommend French fries or white potatoes on Trim Healthy Mama. And as much as I could try to justify fitting anything into my meal or any type of meal, that's not good for me. That's not the spirit of the plan, and that's not adopting it as a lifestyle. So I want to encourage you first, look at this as a lifestyle. The second thing I want you to remember, if you are falling off the plan, falling off the wagon, getting off track, you are not starting over. You are building on the foundation that you already created. So think of it as you're building a structure. And it looks like I'm pausing a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't know why that's happening. So hopefully everybody can still hear me. Look at it as you're building a house and you have your foundation of Trim Healthy Mama. You've made the decision. You've learned how the plan works. And then you are standing on it and you're building on it and you fall off a little bit. You're not tearing it down. You already have that foundation. That's yours to keep. All that happens now is that you get to decide if you finish building the structure and building your lifestyle on THM, or if you're just going to fall off and stay there. That's your decision. So if you're interested and invested in building on the foundation that you already have, you're in the right place, and I want to help you do that. And I want to make sure you know it is never, ever helpless if you fall off the wagon or if you cheat. There are always things you can do. So I'm going to go through some of the keys to staying on plan. And at the end, I'm going to tell you what to do if you step off of your foundation or if you lose your way a little bit and you need some help getting back on track. So first is know your why, know your goals, know what you want to accomplish and when you want to accomplish it. And when you are tempted to eat off plan or have something sugary or whatever your vice is or whatever you're interested in doing that makes it so hard, ask yourself, is this going to bring me closer to my goal or push me further away? So if I'm thinking, okay, I want to, and there are a good number of reasons to be on plan. If I'm thinking, I want to follow THM because I want to lose 20 pounds. When I am tempted by my child's candy that they brought home, I can ask myself, is this going to help me or is it going to make it harder for me to reach my goal? One of my personal goals after I got to goal weight was to keep my migraines at bay because with Trim Healthy Mama, I rarely get migraines. I used to get them all the time. It's a very, very rare occasion now that I get a migraine. And when I'm about to eat something off plan or something sugary, I'm not as concerned with my weight now. I think, will this help me keep the migraines away or is it going to make it easier for my body to get inflammation and get a migraine? So asking yourself that can be the first key to success on not cheating and sticking to the plan 100%. So talking about mindset, there are a lot of reasons why we cheat. There is temptation. If you see something delicious or something that looks delicious or something that you think will be delicious, there is boredom. We just want to eat sometimes. Convenience, we don't have time to cook, so we drive through or we make a box of macaroni and cheese or we just grab something fast. Convenience is a big reason I find that most THMs go off plan because we want to follow the plan. We have the desire, but sometimes we don't feel like we have the time. Emotions are a big, big one for eating off plan. Sometimes stress is a huge emotion kind of tied into our emotions that causes us to want to eat off plan. Sometimes it's disappointment, discouragement. There's a lot of things. So whenever I'm faced with the desire to cheat, no matter what it is that's causing it, the temptation, boredom, emotions, convenience, whatever it is, I remind myself that I have value and I am better than succumbing to whatever I'm faced with that I want to eat to make myself feel better. The second thing I do is I have a glass of water. If you get in the habit of having a glass of water every time you feel like you want to eat off plan, it helps you slow down. It helps you think. It helps you feel a little less hungry. Have you heard the HALT acronym before? Don't make a decision if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or I don't remember what the last one is, so this isn't as helpful as I thought. But if you're hungry, angry, or lonely, I can tell you that that's not a good time to make a choice to eat off plan. Another thing that I do that is not about shaming myself, so I don't want you to feel shame if you try this, but another thing that I do is I weigh myself. And this might sound a little interesting, but I will go, if it's usually not at breakfast that I want to cheat. The reason for that is that studies have shown we actually run out of willpower the further on in the day you go. So you might do great at breakfast, you might do great at lunch, and then at dinner, you might think, okay, it's not gonna hurt to just have one piece of pizza. The reason why is we run out of willpower. And that's one reason that meal plans and having things ready is so important, because if you have fewer choices to make in your day, you're much more likely to stick to the plan. If you can pre-make some of your decisions, decide what you're going to eat, decide what your snacks are, have dessert ready. If you have those things in place, you are far more likely to stick to it 100%, because you're not choosing everything all day long. You're just sticking with the choices you already made. So if you are getting to the end of the day or later in the day when we normally want to cheat, and you step on the scale when you've probably eaten recently, you're fully clothed, it's not the best time of day to weigh yourself. I think a lot of women probably weigh themselves first thing in the morning, not with all the clothes on, definitely no shoes. Sometimes that just helps me remind me of my goal. It's not a shame thing. It's well, I'm here at this weight and this isn't what I want to be. So why would I eat something to sabotage myself when I'm trying to reach my goal? Sometimes weighing yourself can help in the heat of the moment if you're home and if you have that desire. Another step to take when you're tempted to cheat is to treat yourself to something healthy and delicious. Have something ready. Have a Lily's chocolate bar in the pantry. Have something. Have Skinny Pop popcorn. Have something that you can have that's not going to hinder your weight loss, that feels like a treat. Eat a crossover. That's the next step. If you really are just, you drank your water, you weighed yourself, you had something good, and you're just thinking, I still want that cupcake. I still want to make cookies and eat the cookie dough. I still want to do whatever it is. Then something that helps me so much, and I don't do it too often, but I'll go ahead and have a crossover. I'll have a big bowl of rice and chicken, and I'll butter my rice a lot, or I'll have steak and a sweet potato with lots of butter. It's a crossover. It's still on plan. It's not really going to hurt me, but it feels so indulgent that I'm so much more likely to stick to it. So that's something that can help a ton as well. Listening to the podcast. If I'm listening to Pearl and Serene talking, I'm not going to go get anything off plan, because I feel like they're there with me. They're not. It's not that creepy, but just hearing their voices sometimes reminds me it helps me get in the right mindset that, hey, I don't want to cheat. I'm doing this for a reason. And that might be something that helps you too. Another thing that helps is to call a friend who knows that you have a goal and say, look, man, so-and-so brought these cupcakes to my house. I want one, or I want to make cookies, or I want to do this. And your friend can say, hey, just remember you have a goal. You want to get to a certain place. I don't think you really want to do that. And most of the time we don't. So I'll be sending a copy of that little checklist to you over the next 24 hours so that you can just look through it and see if there's anything that appeals to you as something that might deter you from going off plan. So when we're talking about temptation, the first reason that I think most of us go off plan, have you ever indulged in something like a candy bar or something that just sounds so good, and then you eat it and it's not quite as satisfying as you thought it would be? I think sometimes we tend to feel a little bit yucky after we have processed sugar, especially if we've been off of it for a while, because there's a few reasons, but there are studies that talk about the stress and the shame of eating badly. So shame is not good for us. It's one of those toxic emotions. But when we start feeling, you have that feeling like, oh, I went off plan, even if you regret it a little bit, sometimes that can cause the food that you ate to have more of an impact on your body than you ever thought it would. So it's important not to get caught up in the guilt or shame of eating off plan. But sometimes it's important to remember when you're about to eat something that isn't really good for you, it isn't going to help you lose weight, that it's not worth it, not just because of what it's going to do to hinder your progress, but because it's not as great as we think it will be most of the time. Most of the time, we can have something and think, okay, this is going to be worth it. This is going to be amazing. And it's just not quite as amazing as we think it will be. So if you have that experience, hang on to that. Hang on to that and just think, I don't have to have this to enjoy my life. I don't have to have this thing to enjoy a sweet treat or something amazing that I can cook or make or buy. Some of the Lily's chocolate bars are delicious. Some of the Trim Healthy Mama desserts are phenomenal. And most of the recipes are so satisfying, whether they're an E or an S, that we just don't need those off-plan things that we often think we need. So to avoid temptation, I have a really weird tip for you. This is something that I have found I've needed to do sometimes. If you catch yourself and you've already taken a bite, I don't want to encourage you to go buy something and take a bite of it. But if you find that you've already taken a bite of something, you've eaten, you bought a candy bar, you gave in, you took a bite, the most empowering thing that I have experienced as a Trim Healthy Mama is not saying no to something that someone gives me or not buying something. It's that point where I have something in my hand, I can taste it, and I take that and I give it to one of my kids or I throw it away. My kids don't eat too much sugar. I don't want to make it sound like I'm like, here, you guys eat all the bad stuff and I'll eat healthy. That's not how it is. But a lot of times, you just need that empowering moment. When I quit soda, I was really hooked on soda. I used to have multiple 6-packs a day of soda when I was a teenager. I'm shocked that I didn't cause horrifying health problems for myself. Maybe I did, and I just don't know it yet. But when I got to 30 years old or 29 years old, getting Trim Healthy Mama, I quit soda, and it was such a big thing for me. And I remember the moment that I stopped drinking soda. I bought a large Dr. Pepper at Chick-fil-A, and I took it and I took a sip of it, and I just said, I'm done. I don't want to be this way anymore. I don't want to be addicted to it. I don't want to give it that power over me. And I took the whole thing and I threw it in the trash. And something about that willingness to give up something that I had paid for and I held in my hands and I wanted so badly, something about that made me realize that I could do it. So if you find yourself in a moment of temptation and you take something and you eat it, you take a bite, you take a drink, I want you to just consider getting rid of it then. Just saying, no, I am done. I don't need this. This is not going to help me. Something else that helps a lot is always having something ready at home. Sometimes freezer things are the best things because you can pull them out quickly. You can have them made and pull them out quickly. I like to do, in the first original Trim Healthy Mama book, there was a chunky cream pops recipe that was really good. It's like a cream cheese, peanut butter, chocolate kind of recipe. You stick them in the freezer for a while, and I would leave some in there. Mrs. Criddle's Kitchen has a cookie, they're cowboy cookie protein balls. They're really good. I roll those up and keep those in my freezer too. I mentioned Lily's chocolates a couple times. Having something like that ready to go can make all the difference in sticking to the plan. So if you have something that you keep in your freezer or keep handy, that can be a huge thing that will have probably go the farthest to keep you on plan. If you can grab something, if you're out and everybody else is eating something that you want and you can remind yourself, okay, but I have this delicious thing at home right now waiting for me, that's a game changer. So it's really worth it to just spend, 20 to 30 minutes once a week and make something. Just make something that you can keep handy. Keeping something with you is helpful too. I keep some Skinny Pop popcorn in my car, along with one of these and a collagen packet. I have some pictures of the collagen packets I buy at thewellplannedkitchen.com/resources. Those are so convenient. They're like little stick packages, and I pour it in to my tea and mix it up. I usually do half a package and just shake it up really well. It changes the color a little bit, but you can't. And then I will have that will be my protein source. And then I'll have the Skinny Pop for an snack, or I'll have a piece of fruit if I can grab one. You can usually find fruit. You can even get a fruit cup at Chick-fil-A. That way I always have something with me that I can eat. I Lily's chocolate melts in the summer. It's okay. Quest bars, those aren't fabulous for you. And some of my clients have seen their weight loss stall a little bit. So with Quest bars, if you keep one, I keep one in my car, and I usually will get into the Quest bar once a month or so. That way I'm not overdoing it, and I'm still just have it there if I need it. They kind of taste like dessert. So things like that help me stay on plan when I'm out. Another weird trick for you is to have a room temperature dill pickle after you eat a meal. This is the weirdest thing, but I have found that if you put a dill pickle out and it's not cold, for some reason the cold ones, that's probably just me being weird, that the cold ones don't work the same way that room temperatures do. But if you leave a dill pickle out while you're eating dinner and then you eat that dill pickle, I'm sure it has something to do with your taste buds, right after you eat, a lot of times that will help me with my desires for something sweet after dinner. There are plenty of Trim Healthy Mama desserts and sweets that you can have after dinner that are amazing. That, go ahead and go for it. If you're having an S dinner, have your S dessert, but sometimes you don't have something ready. Sometimes we don't need those extra calories, and sometimes we're just really not hungry. And no matter what you're eating, if you're not hungry, you generally want to eat every 3 hours, but if you're just kind of forcing yourself to eat or eating a dessert just because you're in the habit of dessert, that's a good time to try the dill pickle. Just try it out to see if that works for you, because we don't always need dessert. Another thing that causes us to cheat a lot, I think, is boredom. I don't know if you ever go off plan when you're bored, but a lot of times I'll find myself grazing or eating mindlessly between meals. A lot of my clients have the same struggle, that when you eat something and you're getting maybe an hour and a half out from what you ate, you just start eating. If you have kids, you might eat off their plates. If you have, if you're working on a project, Cindy said boredom is huge for me. That is something that I struggle with a lot, is that just like Cindy, if I'm working on something or just kind of not thinking, or just even, I like to eat when I'm watching TV, and I rarely get time to watch TV, but I find that if I do, I will sit down with some food. It's really hard to have that boredom and not give into food. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to sneeze. If it's a habit for you. So if you are bored and you're eating mindlessly, it's critical to start paying attention to when you're eating. And sometimes if you can get in the habit for 2 or 3 days of just jotting down everything you eat, you might notice that, oh, here I'm eating an hour apart, or, oh, I just grabbed a handful of this, or, oh, I didn't really have anything to do, so I just started snacking. Sometimes we don't even realize it. And as a coach, when I get some of my clients to give me their food journals, they are stunned to see when they're actually eating. And those are most often the people that say, well, I'm sticking to the plan, but I'm not losing any weight. And then we look and see, oh, well, that's because you're just eating a lot all day long. It happens to all of us. So I try to drink water first. So if I have a food journal, I can see what times of day I'm most likely to be bored and just grazing. Have a glass of water. Have an FP if you think you really, really need one. If you are bored and wanting to eat something, go ahead and have an FP. My favorite fuel pull snack is 8 ounces of unsweetened almond milk with a scoop of the Trim Healthy Mama chocolate or pristine whey protein powder. I have a milk frother that came with my coffee maker. That's how I make mine. It has a cold setting, and I'll just blend it really quickly, but you could blend it or stir it with a fork. That's my favorite fuel pull. And I'll have that if I just am really feeling like eating, even if I know I'm not hungry. Sometimes I'll have some of that. Another thing to do is try to stay away from food. If you're eating out of boredom or grazing, try to just get away from it. Try to go for a walk or do something different. Try to cure your boredom in different ways. And this kind of falls into the emotion category too. So if you are stressed, if you're eating out of stress, if you're eating your feelings, which is something that my 6-year-old got from me that she says she does, but she's 6, so hopefully she's not really eating her feelings. If you're doing that or experiencing that, or that's something you do, I recommend getting first out of the mindset that you deserve a reward and using food as a reward. Okay, sometimes when we know we're going to cheat, Having something special ready is great. Sometimes it's fun to celebrate with food. There's a lot about food that plays into community and relationships and having that connection with other people. Those are traditions. Those are all things that are important. But it's a little different when you think, I had a hard day, I deserve this. I used to do that with lattes. I used to think, man, I've had a really rough morning. I've been working really hard. I just need a latte. I can make an on-plan latte, no problem. Sometimes, though, in weight loss mode, you don't need all of that, all of those calories. You don't need it. It's not good for you to be in the mindset that, I just want to reward myself with this. It's a little different knowing that you have on-plan foods at home that are delicious, that you can enjoy. Just keep in mind that if you're rewarding yourself with food, you probably need to do a little work to break out of that mindset and go in another direction instead. Along the same line of emotions is, aside from stress or rewarding yourself, is the discouragement. So it is very natural on your weight loss journey, no matter how you're losing weight, really, to hit weight loss stalls and plateaus. So in my journey, I lost 30 something pounds, and I would lose one week, lose the next week, not lose for several weeks. Start losing again, go up a pound or two. And in those weeks that I would go up a pound or two, I would get so discouraged. I would think, why am I doing this? I am eating, it's good food, but I'm not eating what everybody else is eating, and I'm not losing any weight. And there's my friend eating 6 slices of pizza and a carton of ice cream, and she looks great. Here I am eating all of these foods that take more time to prepare, that maybe cost more at the grocery store. They don't have to, by the way. I spend less on Trim Healthy Mama than I did before. But just all of these things, it just can be so discouraging. So we have to remember that those natural pauses do not mean that our body is broken or that we're not losing or that the plan doesn't work. If you feel discouraged, it's more important than ever to stick to the plan if you're feeling discouraged. In podcast episode number 78, and I really recommend this one, I love it, the Trim Healthy Mama Potty, they talk about buying truth. Remember your truth and use it to move you forward. And Serene, I believe, said, what is easy is not valuable. I think about that all the time because it is easy to eat whatever we want, right? It's so easy. It doesn't cost us anything at the time that we're doing it. The cost comes later. And when you're cheating, it feels freeing because there's no planning ahead. There's no struggle. It just feels like a free thing that you get to do at the time. Alternatively, when you take that truth of who you are and who you want to be and you struggle for something just a little bit, that's paying for it. You pay for it. You're paying for good food. You might pay more at the store, maybe. You also might pay more of your time to prepare the healthy food. You're also paying by sacrificing and foregoing the food that you really just kind of want to have and choosing good things instead. What you pay initially for your health that costs more initially reaps huge, valuable rewards that you will not get when you just eat whatever you want. Not only for your body, and I'm sorry, I'm still trying not to sneeze, but in your character and in your decision-making process, there are so many benefits. So if you struggle with emotional eating at all, I think I can highly recommend the book Made to Crave by Lisa TerKeurst. It's very, very good. I've listened to the audiobook because I don't have a lot of time to read. I don't know if you're in the same boat, but I can really recommend that. Also, listening to the podcasts regularly is something that helps so, so, so much. And they have a lot of tips. They have a lot of strategies. There's a lot you can get out of that. And listening to that every week, I think helps a lot of people stay on track as well. Sometimes, aside from all of those reasons, we go off plan for convenience. So I'm covering some of the ways that we tend to go off plan or the reasons that we cheat. If anybody else goes off plan for another reason, I'd love to hear about it. We can talk about it now while we're doing this. I'm going to take a drink really quickly. Thank you. So I'm sorry, my allergies, everything's all wonky today. So I'd love to hear from anybody if they have any questions about particular circumstances that they find themselves going off plan. I really, really, really highly recommend tracking what you eat for several days. I have some of my clients use my Fitness Pal. You can just write it down. See where you're most likely to go off plan and ask yourself what the reasoning behind that was. Why did I cheat? Why did I go off plan here? Was it because I was hungry, tired, lonely, bored? Was I just not having time to cook? Was I faced with the greatest temptation of this thing that was so delicious? Things like that. Things like that can help you. So, and Shirley just said allergies are affecting her greatly right now, which makes it harder to eat well. Yes. So, so something that I really have focused on, and that I know we're talking about cheating, so I don't want to get off topic, but I try to make Trim Healthy Mama the easiest way for me to eat at all times. I'm doing a series right now on my Facebook page about making Trim Healthy Mama your easiest option always. I think that, and it's free. I think a lot of us find that we overcomplicate it. We make it something that we feel like we can't stick to it. I've really simplified and streamlined so that I can stick to the plan when I hardly have any groceries, when I'm too tired to cook, when I'm too busy to cook, when I don't feel like it. Trim Healthy Mama is always the easiest way for me to eat, and that makes it so easy to stay on plan. So I'll send out a link to that to all of you when I send out the notes for you. But I think that might be helpful if you find that certain life circumstances make it hard to stick to the plan sometimes. And that's another one. Sometimes we have, big life crises come up. I know that when my daughter was in the hospital, I really was thinking, I just need to eat whatever. Well, they have a cafeteria. I could eat a salad. I could eat eggs. There were plenty of things I could choose that were on plan. But instead, the first 2 days, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to eat this because I'm here and it's fast. Listen, when you're in a crisis mode, your adrenaline and your cortisol levels are raised. Your body is in crisis mode as well. The best thing you can do for yourself is to love yourself there and give yourself the nourishment you need to keep your adrenals healthy and stay focused. That's something that will help in such a huge way. And if you get through your crisis and you stay on plan and you take care of yourself so you can take care of others, at the end of that, you can realize that, hey, if I was able to stay on plan then, I can do it anytime. I can do it no problem when I'm busy or tired or stressed or worn out because I did it then during that really hard crisis. So keep that in mind as well. So yes, Cindy said she thinks she overcomplicates it. Too many good things to make. You need to get some basic foods down pat, like sweatpants meals. That will help a lot. And I might do another session, like a full session like this on that, because I think that we can make it so simple, so much more simpler than we do a lot of the time. So if you go off plan because for convenience, like let's say you are coming home, you realize you don't have time to make what you planned for dinner. A lot of times, many of us will cheat by going through a drive-through or grabbing something that's not as good for us. That's when having a meal plan helps, but having a backup plan is better. So part of this series that I'm doing on my Facebook page right now is encouraging everybody to have a backup meal ready. If you are, first of all, you're going to need store-bought snacks. If you are on a budget, make it apples and bananas or string cheese. Apples and bananas would be ease. You can have half a banana. As long as you have it with a lean protein, have a string cheese for an S snack, or something simple that you can grab. If you are not quite as tight or willing to experiment a little bit with the snacks that you buy, get some moon cheese. Moon cheese is dehydrated cheese. It's delicious and it's dangerous because I want to eat it all the time, but it's an S snack. Things like that. Grab some convenience foods like they have prepackaged hard-boiled eggs now if you don't have time to make those. Have some things ready. So have those convenience foods, but buy them yourself and keep them in your house so that you're not as tempted to go get them out of the house, the off-plan ones, when you don't have time to cook. If you every week get a rotisserie chicken and some frozen brown rice, you can have a bowl of rice with some of the white meat from the chicken that you bought and some salsa and maybe some beans and have a burrito bowl. That is so fast, so easy. It takes 3-4 minutes to microwave things and throw it in the bowl and you're done. Things like that are also convenience foods, and having those things handy will keep you from the drive-through. So my goal when I'm tempted to drive through, I remind myself I can make this thing at home faster than I can get through this drive-through, and it will help me reach my goal. When you are tempted to go to a drive-through or get a pizza or eat something off plan, because you don't have time to cook, just ask yourself if you can do something better at home. 9 times out of 10, we can, especially if we've done just a little bit of prep work, even if that's just throwing a few things in your cart at the grocery store, like the moon cheese or hard-boiled eggs that you can buy pre-made now. Things like that will help immensely. Get a veggie tray. Things like that can just make a huge difference. So keep those kinds of things in mind. So let's see. So Shirley said, when I've tried a recipe and I spent all that time making it and it doesn't taste as good as I was hoping, it's very discouraging. So I tend to go off plan. I've had similar experiences. I had tried to get my mom on plan, and she knows I talk about her, but she's not here. So I feel a little bad doing it now. But she had tried one of the big low carb bloggers cookie recipes. I think she spent $20-something on the ingredients for this thing, and she said it was terrible. And after that, she spent like 2 or 3 days eating off plan. She was so disappointed, and I get it, especially when you spend a lot of money and a lot of time on something and the recipe doesn't go the way you want. Man, that is discouraging, and it is easy to go off plan when that happens. So something I do is I allow myself one big recipe flop every month. Now, that said, because I'm a food blogger, occasionally I have, I don't count my flop in my developing recipes for my website, because usually for food bloggers, we take sometimes 10 to 15 tries at a recipe before it's delicious enough to post for everybody else to try. But I allow myself one flop. So let's say I'm, in week 1 of the month, week 1, I try something that looks great on Pinterest, or even something from the book that maybe is a little more involved. If it is a total flop, I will go to my backup meal of a rotisserie chicken or a burrito bowl or something, and I will say, the rest of this month, I'm just going to eat what I know. I'm going to make recipes that I've tried before, that I know are delicious, that I know my family loves. That's what I'm going to do instead, because I'm not going to risk multiple recipes over and over and over again that just don't work. So I try to keep the experimenting to a couple times a month, and I don't give up. I just stick with what I know after that. So I'm not wasting as much money and time, and I'm not making myself feel discouraged like the plan is too hard. It's really not. And there's a lot of normal meals that you can have on this plan. One of my family's favorites is Dreamfield's pasta, meatballs, low-carb meatballs. They have some great recipes, the Make Ahead meatballs in the Trim Healthy Table book, and marinara sauce with no sugar added. It's easy and fast, and it's normal food. Or we'll make hamburgers without the buns, or tacos with low-carb tortillas. We eat a lot of things that we ate before. We just do it in a much, much healthier way. So I've already gone quite a bit over what I had planned for this, but I do want to give you your plan for what to do if you cheat. So I'm going to tell you a little story. And before I do that, I want to answer Allison's question. Allison said, what do you do for major energy drops before making dinner? So it's interesting that you say that. And it's in the paperwork that Trim Healthy Mama asks me to have everybody sign. But I have some really severe adrenal and cortisol problems. And my doctor told me that my energy drops in the afternoon are because of my cortisol problems. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any advice, but if you're experiencing that on a regular basis, that's why that happens to me. You may want to have your cortisol levels checked. But in my case, I will usually have I like to have an e-snack. So, or an FP snack in the afternoon. I just try to space it well. An FP snack is really best while you're cooking, but that's another place that it's hard not to graze. I have found myself, I was making this spaghetti squash casserole, and I was grabbing like small pinches of cheese. And when I turned around, I had eaten 3/4 of the half pound of cheese that I had grated. It's important to watch that you don't do that when you're trying to keep your energy up. Another thing that helps me a lot is to have as much pre-made as possible. So I do a lot of my dinner preparation when I have more energy, so that I'm not doing all the work right in the afternoon when I'm exhausted. So here's my little story about something I think a lot of us do. Okay, so it was my daughter's 6th birthday last summer, and we went to McDonald's. That's what she really wanted. We went to McDonald's. I got a burger without a bun. I got it without ketchup because I know they have a lot of sugar in their ketchup. And I was like, man, I'm killing it here. Look at me with my burger with no ketchup. And I had cheese and pickles and onions and mustard and no bun. And then I got a side salad. And I ripped open the ranch dressing and I poured it on. And while it was pouring, I could see on the label that it said it had some crazy high amount of carbs in this ranch dressing. And ranch dressing usually isn't that bad. So if you get like the Kraft ranch dressing at the store, I think it's under 2 grams of carbs. I was just like, what is this? It was Newman's Own ranch dressing. The second ingredient was high fructose corn syrup solids. And I think it came out to 11 grams of sugar, which was really interesting. But I had already poured it all over my salad, and this was my dinner. So I'm eating my burger, and I'm looking at the salad with the ranch on it, and I thought, well, I already poured it on there. I don't want to waste the salad. And I've been really good lately, and maybe I'm just going to have the salad with 11 grams of sugar because, it kind of balances out. It's not unplanned. And so I'm eating the burger, just like deeply contemplating my salad. I probably look like a total nutcase. And I started thinking, well, if I eat this salad with the sugar in it, I might as well just go home and have some birthday cake. And saying all this, keep in mind, I had made the magic salted caramel cupcakes from the Trim Healthy Table cookbook. I had those ready. They were at home waiting for me. And that didn't even matter because I was like, well, if I'm having sugar, I might as well really have sugar, right? I hadn't even taken one bite of the salad left yet. I'm a coach. I've been on plan since the plan was started, and my mind still goes there. I call that having a case of the might as wells. Does anybody else ever do this? Where you sit there and you get a bite of something, so that's where you can kind of accidentally go off plan. If I hadn't been paying attention to the salad ingredients, I might have just taken a bite and then I would really be off the rails and be like, well, I might as well have birthday cake. And then tomorrow morning, I might as well go to Starbucks. And then I might as well have some regular white bread. That's my weakness, is white bread and cookies. I love them so much. I will just say, I might as well do all these things. So if you get a case of the might as wells, it is so important to stop yourself immediately. So get out of that justification mindset. Like it's the same thing almost as when I was trying to figure out how many carbs were in one French fry to see if I could fit it in with my S meal. I was literally thinking, how much sugar can I fit in the next 3 hours? And that's where I just want to encourage you. That 3-hour rule from Trim Healthy Mama, so many of us use it as a license to cheat. We use that 3-hour rule as, you know what? I'm already off plan. I might as well fit in all this stuff over the next 3 hours that I don't need, that's not going to help me reach my goal. So my encouragement to you is, here's what I do, and here's what I have my clients do if you go off plan, if you cheat, or if you want to cheat. Really, I can come back to it. I'll get back on plan in 3 hours. Don't do it. If you take one bite, and I'm telling you, it is empowering to toss something after that one bite. But if you take one bite, you have decided to cheat. And now you are back on plan that very minute. You're done. You're not going to use this as an excuse or a justification to get off plan for hours or to get into a season of cheating. Like I think it's chapter 16 of the Trim Healthy Mama Plan book says, it's not a season. It was one mistake and you are finished. Now you're back on plan. You're ready to stick to it. And here's how you're going to do it. The first thing you do when you've made that decision and you're not going to fill up your 3 hours with more cheats, you have an FP. Here's what I found. Something in our brains, when we go off plan, if we wait 3 hours or try to wait, our body's like, well, but we went off plan. Let's just, the might as well just keep coming up in your mind. So instead of that, have an FP, have 8 ounces of unsweetened almond milk with a scoop of protein powder, chocolate or strawberry protein powder. Have some cucumbers. Have something neutral that's light, that's a totally on-plan food to signal to yourself, I am back on this plan right now. So first, make the decision. Second, have your FP. Third, you are going to want to follow that up with deep S meals. So if you don't know what a deep S meal is, it's in the higher learning section of the Trim Healthy Mama Plan book. It is basically cutting out dairy and high calorie foods from your S meal. So an example of a day of deep S would be, let me think, scrambled eggs and butter with bacon for breakfast. A big salad with some chopped leftover meat and veggies and a light dressing or an olive oil vinaigrette for lunch. And then you could even do something like a steak or bone-in chicken thighs or some kind of savory, delicious, fatty meat with a side of steamed veggies with butter and salt and pepper for dinner. There's your deep S. You want to follow a full day of deep S, have skinny chocolate for a dessert. That's a deep S dessert. That helps your body release the cravings and release the desire for more and more and more and get you back on track. So just remember, too, that if you make a mistake, you're learning. Every meal, every snack, every choice, you're learning and growing, and you're totally going to get it. You're totally going to get to the place where you don't do those might as wells and you're not, having to think so carefully about everything you eat, because Trim Healthy Mama will be your default. It will be your lifestyle. It will be you standing on that foundation that you built and building your walls and getting the roof on and getting to where you want to go because you're sticking with it and you're not just falling off and staying there. It's all a learning process, and it's so important to not give up. So if you feel like you want to give up, just do your best to get back on it, keep building it, and follow those steps for getting back on track, because it really, really, really helps. So that's my cheating coaching session. I am going to answer questions. I do have a few tips for you. And again, I am going to be sending you my notes. So the action steps I have for you are start journaling what you're eating and write down when you're most tempted to cheat. Here's a little tip. If you are journaling your food for a couple of weeks, then you have 2 weeks of meal plans ready. You can repeat them. You can save them for next month, but you've done a lot of work and there's no point in doing that over and over and over again. Just reuse what you've got. If you stuck to the plan, of course, take out any off-plan foods that you had. But that's something that I really recommend. And keep track of what the circumstances were when you were tempted to cheat. Make sure you have alternatives ready. If you can set aside time to meal prep once a week, that makes a huge difference. If you can make one dessert every week, that can sometimes be the game changer in helping you stick to the plan. Follow an action plan for times that you do cheat, which are back on plan immediately. Don't wait 3 hours. Have your FP and follow it up with deep S. And keep in mind that filling up on the good stuff, like lots of vegetables and lots of good Trim Healthy Mama foods, we naturally have less of a desire to go off plan because we're full. So sometimes that just keeping that in mind can help a lot too. So I'm going to go ahead and answer questions. I saw Jenny. I'm sorry. I had already gotten started and it looks like YouTube gave me a bunch of your comments at once. So hi, Jenny from Georgia. I'm so glad you're here. So family get-togethers and church dinners and traveling. Okay, how to participate but not stick out. How do you get the family to understand your different choices? And you said you go a couple times a year to see in-laws, and sometimes they even fix your plate. So something that helps with people that are really invested in what you are eating is to explain that you're eating differently for your health. In my case, that's even easier because I have adrenal problems and I'm trying to keep migraines away. So people tend to understand when I say, I'm trying to eat healthy because of this. Sometimes family members mean well and they will say, oh, but this is healthy. This cranberry jello salad is amazingly healthy. And it's not. But really, if your family loves you and you love them and you want to have that community, sometimes it helps to, even if you're staying at someone else's house, bring your car or in a bag or something like that. Maybe eat them on the down low so that you're not offending anybody. And what I do when I go visit my family, my family lives in California. I live in Colorado. When I take my kids out to visit, I will go to the grocery store on the way to their house and I will buy something that I can eat. I will get ingredients for a big salad. And then I just say, I just wanted to bless you with this to share with everybody. I just thought I would contribute to the meal this way. Sometimes things like that can help. Sometimes you can get really, really pushy people that mean really well. And it's really up to you to say, I don't want to do this. For church things, I always bring food every time. I will bring something in each category. Maybe it's a little more expensive, but I need to make sure there's things that I can eat. Usually, the easiest thing is when you go to an event and they have burgers with toppings, because you can just have a burger with no bun. I will definitely all day long have a crossover at a friend's house or family member's house instead of just completely going off plan. So I think the last time I was at my dad's house, they had like a big thing of brown rice. And I remember being surprised because they like white rice, but they had brown rice and they had some fattier meat. And I just ended up combining it and having a crossover. And I felt okay about that. But I mean, really, I will bring a big salad with some kind of meat in it and I'll bring a dessert. And that way I'm covered. I can eat a big bowl of salad. I can have a THM dessert and still be eating with everybody else. I'm just volunteering and there is a little bit of selfish motivation there because I'm doing it for myself, but I'm happy to share with everybody. And I know other people are getting healthy items too. So I know that's a tricky one. One of my clients was a missionary and she is on furlough here in the United States, and she was going to people's houses and eating with people. So her strategy was she accepted the food that was made for her as a blessing. And she would take a bite or two of everything that people on the plate people gave her. She would go in the bathroom and eat a protein bar. I didn't tell her to do this. This is what she wanted to do. She'd eat a Quest bar that she brought with her so she'd be full. And then she'd just have a bite or two of what was served to her so she wasn't offending anybody. She didn't eat a lot. And then she would follow the checklist of getting right back on track, having the FP, and following the deep S meals for a while to kind of just get back on track. And she had to do that about once a week. She still lost weight. She still got to her goal weight. She just knew that once a week she'd be having a few bites of things that were off plan. And she just got back to it the best she could. Listen, for everybody, when you're out of the house, sometimes the best you can do is the best you can do. But just make sure it's the best and don't use that as an excuse. So if I'm out and they're serving pizza, I can have the meat lovers pizza. I can have the toppings. Now, if you find you're not losing weight and it's because you're eating the toppings off of half of a pizza, I'm also not saying I've never had too many of the toppings of a slice of pizza. I've done my share of like 6 slices of pizza. That will not do you any favors for losing weight. But if you're reasonable about it and you take 2 slices of pizza, you eat the top off of it, leave the crust and the bread, just eat the cheese and meat off the top to tide you over until you get somewhere, that's okay. If you are at someone's house and all they have is some green bean casserole that has the canned soup in it, if that's all you're eating, that's the best you can do. That's the best you can do. That's okay. As long as you're not doing that every day, and as long as you're not using it as an excuse to eat things that you secretly want to eat, if you're really doing the very best you can to nourish your body and make on-plan choices, then that's okay. We can only do the best we can do, and it's not good to starve. But most of the time, we can find a way to stick to the plan or eat something on plan that's small that will tide us over until we get somewhere big, to eat something bigger. Something that I loved in one of the Trim Healthy Mama podcasts is Pearl said that her family was driving through McDonald's and she almost got a burger with no bun, but then she realized that she's a fry snatcher. I don't know if any of you heard this episode. She said she'll just start snatching a fry or two from the other people in the family. And she thought, I am the girl who eats healthy when I get home. And just think of the power that statement has. I am the trim healthy mama. I am someone who makes the healthy choice and nourishes my body and eats as well as I possibly can. I do that every day. That's who I am. And that is who you are too. You just have to remind yourself of that sometimes. So as you are going through your day-to-day, doing the best you can, just keep thinking, I am a trim healthy mama. This is not how I eat when you want to eat that candy bar. I am the trim healthy mama who eats when I get home. I am the trim healthy mama who eats a burger with no bun. Or I am the trim healthy mama who spends 20 minutes on the weekend mixing up and baking the giant baked blueberry pancake in the cookbook. And that's my breakfast for every other day this week, because that's who I am. That's the way I eat. So that can help a lot too. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Jenny had another question. She has Wednesday night meals at church, but knows the menu ahead of time. Yes, bringing things on plan are good. Listen, I have done really weird things before to stay on plan. Not just because I wanted to lose weight, but because sometimes when I go off plan once, my sugar cravings are so out of control, and those might as wells are so out of control, it's not worth it for me to go off plan at all. So sometimes I've done things like I've gotten a bowl of chicken noodle soup and had the broth in the chicken and left the noodles. Or the best I could do one time was I was a spaghetti dinner. So I got a bowl of marinara sauce and meatballs that I knew weren't exactly on plan. They had some breadcrumbs in them, but it was better than the spaghetti. That was the best I could do. So that's what I did. And sometimes you just have to do the best you can. So Jenny says she gets prepared. Let's see. What about a rotisserie chicken or a bag salad? What about things that are things that you don't have to put a lot of prep work into? What if it's, I don't know, like a low carb tortilla when they're having taco night and you just take your own tortillas? Things like that. You can simplify it. And sometimes it helps to mentally simplify it and just make those decisions. And Jenny, I'm sorry you cheated tonight. Maybe it will help now to get back on plan. Right now, decide you're back on plan and get your deep S meals in tomorrow and be back at it 100%. And Shirley said, so it's better to eat later at night than THM food than to eat at normal mealtime, but it's not on plan. So I would say yes, but I would also say you don't want to harm your metabolism or your blood sugar by eating nothing at all. That's why I always keep something with me that I can have as a snack to tide me over until I can eat something later, or get something out that's on plan, or do the best you can if that's the best you can do. Even if it means eating the chicken and broth out of chicken noodle soup, even if that's what it is. So I hope this has been helpful. Does anybody else have any other questions before we wrap up? This is turning into a super long session, and I hope it's okay that we're going so late. So Shirley said, do I carry a cold bag in the car? I don't pack a cooler. My kids are in activities, and I think it would not last for me. I really just keep shelf stable things in the car. I keep Moon cheese, Lily's chocolate, sometimes when it's not super hot. These are so good. Collagen packets. I keep Skinny Pop, things like that. And then if I have this and some collagen packets in the car, I can always grab a piece of fruit on my way out the door, and then I have an e-snack of fruit. And collagen is my protein that I just mix into this, half a packet. Stuff like that makes it a lot easier. So, okay. So, it's always hot on the South Carolina coast. I'm sorry. Well, it's not always hot here. So you may want to keep a cooler if you have chocolate in the car. But the other things, sometimes I keep this in my bag so it doesn't get burning hot in the car. I'll just keep this in my bag, and then I keep the collagen and the Quest bars and the Skinny Pop in the car. That helps too. So, Okay, well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for commenting. Thank you, Cindy. I hope you all got something out of this. If you are joining late or join late, please feel free to go back and watch more. The link should still work. I will email a link. I will email the notes, and I will email some other information to you. That challenge that I mentioned earlier. So on my Facebook page, I'm doing 5 days, 5-minute tasks, 5-minute task each day. So you have 5-minute tasks, just so basically 5 minutes a day to make sure you have an easier Trim Healthy Mama week, and you just set yourself up for success to make it as simple as possible. I'll send you the link to that. It's totally free if you want to join that too. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you got something out of it, and I will be talking to you soon. I'll be sending your email out, and if you have any more questions, just let me know. I hope you all have a great night. Thanks. Bye.